This jittery little chap who can't seem to sit in the same place for more than one shot is Mr. Ministry Man, or MMM, which is the noise you make when you see him because he is a tasty dish. Anyway, he's your run-of-the-mill William A. Craig parroting apologist, but occasionally his brain spurts out some original stupidity all of his own. He believes that
evidence doesn't matter. Just hear me out. Let me give you somewhat of a scenario here. Because see, the real question here is how much evidence would it take for an atheist to become a Christian? And if you're an atheist and you're truly honest with yourself, you will know that that amount of evidence isn't even theoretically attainable, because on the balance, evidence doesn't matter to you.
No, quite the opposite. If you were to present me with objective evidence for whatever claim we're trying to make, and I were given enough time and resources to effectively evaluate your evidence, if it turned out to be valid, I would accept your claim. If you're trying to convince me that God existed, for example, then the smallest amount of verifiably valid evidence would convert me. My atheism is rooted solely in the lack of valid evidence for God, not some deep-seated dogma, as it is with religion.
Now this isn't all directed at the atheists, I'm going to hit the Christians too, just bear with me. Say we have affidavits from the 2 Roman guards that were at the tomb who saw Jesus crucified, taken off the cross, put in the tomb, the stone was rolled in front of it, the seal was placed on the tomb, then they felt the earth shake, saw the stone roll away, saw Jesus step out, fully alive, and there were witnesses who signed those 2 sheets of paper as well. And those affidavits were accessible today to the general public. That's some pretty substantial evidence, especially if we're going to say, for the sake of this scenario, that those 2 sheets of paper were verified, that a majority of the scholars in this world stood by them as accurate and all that fun stuff. Would that be enough evidence to the atheist for the resurrection? I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say with a certain amount of assurance that if you're an atheist and you're truly honest with yourself, that would not be enough evidence to you. And why is that not enough evidence that you would have concrete, verified proof of the resurrection?
Well, the reason would be because that's not valid evidence. People can lie in documents, look at the Bible. But taking your argument as most simplified and say that the verified proof that God existed was out there, then yes, that would be enough to convert me.
Because it's not about evidence. It all comes down to what you believe.
Not for the atheist. For us, it all comes down to what the evidence shows, or fails to show, as is the case here.
But the same is true for the Christian if we're really honest with ourselves, because even if that amount of evidence existed against the resurrection, we'd still hold on to the resurrection, because it's what we believe.
Exactly. For you guys, it's dogma. What you've been told is true, regardless of what the evidence actually shows.
Now, don't hear me saying that I don't believe there is evidence out there for Christianity, because I believe there is substantial concrete evidence.
Yet you don't present it.
I just feel like talking about it, especially in a forum like this, is kind of a moot point, because it doesn't actually do anything.
Cop out.
Because even think about this scenario, and I'm talking to the Christians right now. If you were to provide an atheist with enough evidence that they then said, okay, that's enough, I'm going to be a Christian now, I believe because you've given me all the evidence, then a week later they find more evidence in the other side, are they not a Christian anymore? Because we know as Christians, from what the scriptures say, that's not the way it works.
Agreed, that isn't the way it works. You're presenting a false dichotomy where there's evidence one way or the other, when in fact atheism, in the face of a lack of evidence, is the intellectually honest position. If you've presented sufficient evidence to convert someone, then logically the only thing that would invalidate that is a refutation of that original evidence.
So here's how we're going to proceed on this channel. This does not mean that I'm quitting the apologetics game, just that it's going...
From here, goes into a lengthy presentation of his new format of apologetics, starting with his Proof That God Exists series, which is a direct plagiarism of proofthatgodixists.org. Far from being a scientific study, this is basically a series of unclever wordplay to drive the viewer to a stilted conclusion and then claim victory without showing any actual evidence. When I tried it, for the first question, does absolute truth exist, I said no, for reasons of my own opinion that I won't go into here. At the next video I'm asked whether that's an absolute statement or not, but of course I'm going to answer no, because as we've established I don't believe absolute truth exists. Congratulations, dipshit, you've proven nothing.